Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. I am your host, CSD Fantasy. Hello, Fantasy Faithfuls, and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. My name is CSD Fantasy, and I am flanked by the one and only Nick Faber and the Coin Master, Matt Williams. How are y'all doing?
I'm great. As Matt per usual. But
I don't think I've used a coin in like 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, we got to do away with that. That nickname has lost its
It never will. I will make sure that it sticks around because as soon as the season comes back, I'm bringing it back.
Well, okay, but the coin should be the Coin Master. You know what I mean? We should have a separate, coin. I feel at that point.
Like a specific one, because Matt is the master of the coin still.
If there's a coin used, I am the master of it. We can agree on that.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
And then after that, like the coin has its own mind, but it still has a master.
The Coin Master. All right. Well.
And that's Matt, right. I feel.
All right. You're the host. You rule all. It's a dictatorship. I'm not here.
This is instead of the dictatorship, Coral has finally risen to power.
Coral. Oh my God.
It fits great with a pandemic going on, and I live in Atlanta.
The Walking Dead it has a new season coming out. Has anyone still watched this? Like, anyone still in it?
No, I stopped after like 4 seasons or 5.
Yeah, I stopped after, I don't even know, 2 seasons ago.
Oh, you lasted longer than I did. I was about 4 or 5, like Carl.
You didn't watch the season Negan was officially brought in?
No. I did see Negan. So I saw Negan, but I never saw the resolution of it.
Yeah, me either. I saw when the end of that season when he was first kind of brought in, like, or the season premiere was when he bashed those 2 guys' heads in. Like, I saw that season I watched, and then I haven't watched since then.
I stopped around Terminus. That's when it's like, really? Okay.
But
look at the flowers was freaking amazing though. Look at the flowers.
My wife watched 2 episodes with me. The first one was when they were captured in that warehouse where the people were going to eat them, the cannibals.
Yeah.
And then I was like, episodes usually aren't like that. Watch another one with me. So she watches the premiere where Negan bashes those 2 people's heads open where his eye is like flying out. So she's not a fan of that show.
That's great.
Is she a fan of this show though? Because we have a fantastic show, but
Probably
feel
not.
free to interrupt at any point in the live chat. We are here to serve. But before we get into today's show, I would like to remind you to hit that like button. Please share on social media especially now that we're live on Periscope. It really helps us get the word out there. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and check out csdfantasy.com for even more fantasy content. But now, to the news. And we don't really have that many news items, but
it would be great if and there's no news.
There's no news.
No news.
Almost did that, but it ended up, that's a but. It ended up being, and for people listening afterwards, Nick has a guest. Tampa Bay is going all in on Tom Brady. It's pretty much the only news that I've been able to scrap together.
Are they really though, or is that just fake news from Tom Brady's camp? Because the headline I saw today was there's more teams. Tom Brady's interested in way more teams that are interested in Tom Brady.
Ooh. So you think that it's a play?
Oh, this particular no, but that was in fact the news I saw today was that Tom Brady is definitely more interested in teams than teams are interested in Tom Brady. So, and that makes sense. He's one of the least attractive quarterback options available.
Which is strange, right? I mean, I understand how that he's on the twilight of his career, but we've been saying that for so long now that it almost feels unreal. He's just going to keep going.
Well, here you go. Let's just assume what he's going to have to, if you're going to sign him, assume what you're going to have to pay him. How much better is he realistically going to be than Phillip Rivers, who I would assume you could sign for significantly less? Right?
Right. I think that's a perfect example. Like, I don't think you're going to go put him on a team and have him all of a sudden will that team to glory. Like, it's just not going to happen. I don't know if like how much of a difference there is passing when it comes to Phil Rivers, Tom Brady. Go ahead, guys. It's crazy in my house right now.
I was gonna say, can we talk about the puppy, because that's what everyone else wants to talk about.
He is wild. He was sleeping, but then as we all saw, my guest Jeff came over, and my dog gets wild when other people come over. So that's what's happening around my house. We're gonna try to work around that. You know, you might see my microphone get muted every once in a while, but I think we're good. Anyways, yeah, Carl, finish that up.
Hand sanitizer, everybody.
Everywhere.
Make sure you got it.
This show will never get canceled. Cancel culture will not reach this.
NFL drafts, man. Anyone in the NFL, in the fantasy industry, or the NFL industry that we had Connor on now too recently. He even put out a post about this. I think that if you're making plans to go to the NFL draft, you might want to cancel them. There's no way they're going to probably allow the fans in for that. No way.
I agree. Yeah. But that brings up the question of what's it going to look like? Like,
hey, they're going to do the NCAA tournament without fans, which I would argue, even over the Super Bowl, that is the number one sporting event in the world that requires fans.
Yeah, and there's so many games. You know, there's so many different tickets to buy that brings in so much revenue for the NCAA, and it's crazy that they are going to go without it. We're going to hear a lot more sneakers. We're going to hear a lot more coaches. I'm very worried for Tom Izzo. I think he's going to be, exposed. There's going to be a lot of swear words going down.
Although, as far as the NFL is concerned, it doesn't matter a whole lot. By the time the games are all around, I would assume this is taken care of. But the draft, it doesn't require people. They're going to do it. It doesn't require people. If anything, it'll probably be more enjoyable to watch without all the freaking fans there.
I'm saying real quick, take all the chalk when it comes to betting on the March Madness when there are no fans. I feel like the fans are one of the big underliers of why there's
underdogs.
Right? Exactly.
And bet the under too.
Bet the under, bet the chalk.
Don't bet, people. Don't bet. Just play fantasy. Come on.
That is betting. How is that not betting?
Fantasy is a game of skill.
No, it's betting.
Look up the definition. Are
we trying to debate right now if fantasy football is betting or not?
Your dog looks very different right now.
He turned into.
Is this what the coronavirus does to people? They turn them into dogs and then turn them back to humans? That's not what I've heard.
What happens at the Faber household? Coronavirus turns dogs into humans.
No, but there's other sporting events though that. Like the European Championship in soccer, Italian soccer got canceled, and you have the Olympics. The NFL is as far away from.
Yeah, aren't we kind of lucky in that sense? Where
yeah,
it should be over by then for sure.
Yeah, knock on wood, hopefully. But Tom Brady, if we're gonna entertain this for a second, if he goes to Tampa, what's his impact on Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and the person that I'm kind of looking most at then is OJ Howard. What's his impact, Matt? How do you feel about that?
I think you hit the nail on the head. OJ Howard, out of any quarterback that could go there, that would actually be the one that would intrigue me the most for OJ Howard is Tom Brady. I don't think I downgrade the other wide receivers. I think they are what they are. I don't know. I think the wide receivers are talented enough. Their value probably wouldn't change depending on who went there. There's no one. I think Winston I'd rather have back there the most. I don't think their value would really change otherwise. I mean, unless something terrible like Jimmy Garoppolo ends up going there if San Francisco were to cut him or something. No change other than I think OJ Howard though would get a bump for me. If any other quarterback landed there, I don't think I'd care. But yeah, I think OJ Howard gets a bump.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it perfect. I think they acquire a pass-catching running back if Brady goes there, and he'll be kind of top-notch. But other than that, I think both receivers stay still.
I would think that they change just a little bit from being that streaky, because Brady doesn't lock in as much as somebody like Winston, who's like, Godwin is working today. Let me not look at Evans anymore. Brady would lock in on one for two, three passes, and then it's like, oh, holy crap, Mike Evans is open on the other side now that I've been looking at Godwin, and use that to an advantage. So I think they would be less streaky. I don't necessarily think this is happening, but it's fun to speculate. I'd rather speculate about Brady to the Buccaneers than Rivers. But even though Rivers is probably more likely.
I don't think I'd care. You know, the best place for Brady is the WWE.
Ooh, what?
Rob Gronkowski, apparently, I don't know if do you guys not know this? Rob Gronkowski signed with the WWE. That's done.
Yeah, Rob Gronkowski, WWE.
Bring in Tom Brady. He doesn't have to fight. He can just like tell the crowd they're like a bunch of mouth breathers and he's better than them because he has a good diet. Could be a great heel. Couple $1 million for just a few talking points.
You think that's what he's gonna come in, be the villain?
And be the bad guy?
Brady? If Brady came in, of course he would be a bad guy.
What?
I'd be bringing Brady with Gronk to make people hate Gronk.
No
yes.
way.
No.
People would love. Hold on, I'm not predicting this. I'm saying it should happen.
Brady
would be
an American, man. He's Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean?
Brady people hate Brady.
Man. Oh no,
but he was booed so badly.
They just hate him because the team, though. As soon as he leaves the Patriots, everyone's gonna be like, "Yeah, Brady, he's the GOAT."
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think like they hate him right now because their team can't
I
win.
can't hear anything you guys are saying because I just yanked the plug out of my earphone. So I'm gonna be taking these off for a second.
All right.
Quick commercial break.
Yeah. For real too, because to be all honest, boys, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my daughter is crying right now, so I'm gonna have to go take care of that real quick. I was kind of hoping she would just get herself to sleep, but we might be taking a commercial break.
We will take a Nick break. We will take a Nick break, and Matt and I will continue this.
Maybe. Hopefully, she's getting quiet. She's getting quiet.
Now that you're gone, maybe we'll actually talk football. You're a bad influence.
Okay, that's right. That's true.
Which, hey, by the way, I like retweeted this out to my followers, and a lot of them are baseball. And I didn't actually state what it was. And if they're tuned in until now, there's very little suggest this is a football show. So they still don't know.
I'm sitting with a
Braves. Yeah, we got the Mets and Braves. What is this?
This
is a football show, everybody. Believe it or not.
It sure is, but it's not much football going on. So we're not just trying to fill airtime, but I'm not saying we're not doing that.
There's 3 wide receivers to talk about in 1 hour. So
and the counter that shows how many views we have just dropped as we said that.
Yeah, most definitely. People are like, "Oh, dude, I heard this great football show. Let me tune in." It's been 15 minutes. I give up.
But real quick, you're telling me that like you don't think the majority of America would cheer if someone were to choke slam Tom Brady?
I know. I 100% think the opposite. I think if
really.
Oh yeah, I think Tom Brady is too like loved. I think I
think he would be literally hated more than anyone. Like I guess I really
he would
disagree.
Never agree to it. He would never agree to be the villain.
No, he'd agree to be a villain. He would never agree to be in action. I don't think he'd never actually take a hit. I think he would talk.
But he's such a brand conscious guy.
Here's the thing: he'd go in and they could trick him into telling him he's the good guy, and then he'll go out there and give his Hulk Hogan speech, booed out of the building. People hate that crap now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't relate. I haven't watched it, so I don't know exactly. But I feel like Tom Brady cares way too much about his image and moving forward, making sure that he stays the perfect guy. Make sure when he gets into the Hall of Fame, like I could never see him be the villain. Like not even like. And then specifically because he would never agree to it. But even if he did agree to it and I watched it happen, like Rob Gronkowski, I could see become a villain. But Brady,
I'm not even talking about doing it on purpose. I think he'd come out, try to be a good guy, still get hated.
I can see that happening. Just because.
Like he'll come out, oh, hey, everyone, I love you. I'm Tom Brady. Boo.
Yeah.
They hate him.
But he would make sure that they were like doing it in Boston. So he come out there. They give him a script as a villain, and he's still cheered as the hero.
Yes, absolutely, I agree with that.
And then everything will be fine. Like, and this is the.
All right.
I mean, this is a hilarious.
We spent a little too much.
All right.
Right down the rabbit hole.
I gotta put out
This is the news. What kind of news segment is this?
This is the news, but we do actually have a weekly topic. And if you've read anything, what this stream is called, it's free agent wide receiver. So let's hit that right now. So free agent wide receivers, there's not a lot of talent on this list, and we actually talked about one of the most talked about guys a little bit last week, but I wanted to start with him again this week because I think he is so polarizing, and I noticed that we had so many different views on him. Me mainly thinking that people are going to overpay for Robbie Anderson. But a reasonable landing spot for him, I'm thinking Arizona. If the Colts are going all in, why not throw in some money for Robbie? Same with the Bills, in my opinion. Nick, where do you feel reasonable landing spots for him that would improve his stock in fantasy?
I mean, there's a couple places that could improve his stock, like Arizona. He'd end up being that like a good deep threat out there. I think Houston, as we kind of saw float around the Twitterverse, would be a fun idea, but I don't think that like help his stock. I love him staying in New York. I think him and Sam Darnold have a great chemistry, and you shouldn't disrupt it. Now they're not going to. They're going to draft CeeDee Lamb. They're going to draft Jerry Jeudy. They're going to get someone of that nature. But if he stayed with Sam Darnold, I would be just in love with his draft stock, with the ADP that he would be going at, with a third-year Sam Darnold, hopefully fully healthy, with Le'Veon Bell behind him, who at his best can draw a lot of coverage and a lot of safety's eyes. It leaves Robbie Anderson in a perfect spot, in my opinion, even if they keep Robbie Anderson and still go draft CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. There is no reason not to do that. You can't have too many good wide receivers. So, to be honest, I want him to stay home, but I don't know. Is that 100% not going to happen? I don't know if that's even possible.
They do have some cap space. Like they have $50 million in cap space.
They haven't said anything either, though, right? Like they haven't been. We're not bringing them back. Like we don't know anything like that.
No, I just think that he's trying to get paid.
Yeah.
Go Jack.
My favorite spot for him, like as far as a fan, is Buffalo. Because I'd love to see Allen just air it out to Smokey and him on the sides. That'd be awesome. I think the best fit for his fantasy value is actually Philly. If Alshon leaves, I think those other spots like Arizona, there's still a lot of moving parts there where I'm not sure how many targets he gets. But if Alshon is gone, we don't know what J-Jaw is really going to bring to the table. Aguilar could be leaving too. So Robbie Anderson would kind of be the guy. Outside of the tight ends. So I can see that maybe being the best spot for his value with Carson Wentz for the year. So I kind of like Philly.
He's an upgrade to Aguilar, right? In my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying Aguilar and Alshon could be gone. So, he could be like the primary target outside of the tight ends for Wentz. So I like Philly the most for his fantasy value.
Would Philly I think what Nick was touching on with the Jets, and I really like this Eagles situation, even though I'm a Cowboys fan, because this intrigues me. If they draft a wide receiver and spend on Robbie, they could have a really interesting air attack in 2020 with like Zach Ertz, Robbie Anderson. I don't know who they could possibly get. Lamb.
It's literally one out of the top 30 wide receivers would still be good.
Yeah.
And again, Arcega-Whiteside is there, and I do believe in him. But you throw him in as a third wide receiver. Yeah, they got a nice group there.
I think we're overlooking one thing though. Wide receivers that go to new teams have little to no value in fantasy football, and in fact, they're normally overdrafted because of the potential that we believe we could see, and the glory of what could be. But no, OBJ, it's just I don't know. The list is too long to name. There's a ton of wide receivers that go, especially mediocre wide receivers. Like Jarvis Landry goes to Cleveland and had like a top 24 wide receiver year.
I think it depends on who they are, though. You mentioned OBJ, but there's obviously a ton of egos at play in that one.
Wide receivers are egos.
Well, I'm just saying, look at John Brown, a similar guy to Robbie, at least what he's trying to do. He goes to Buffalo. He does well.
He did well in Baltimore too before they switched quarterback.
I think if Robbie went to Philly, and he doesn't have a very complicated role either. It's like run down the field, catch the ball, man. Right. So I think he's not going to draw the attention Odell does as far as double coverage. No one's going to really double cover Robbie, especially with like the tight ends on the field. So I think him sliding there will be fine. As far as him being overhyped in drafts, that's a possibility. Off the top of my head, I don't know where he would go. If he signed with Philly, let's assume Wentz looks great.
Right.
It gets near drafts. Robbie and him look like they have a good thing going.
Aguilar gone.
Yeah, and who you drafting, him or Allen Robinson?
Not anyone near Mitchell Trubisky. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. So if he jumps a guy like that,
but
maybe I don't know where you're comfortable. He'll probably go a little higher, and I'd be comfortable taking him.
I'm probably sticking with Allen Robinson even in that situation.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, if that's a question, he's probably going too high. The fact that I think it's a question in our minds tells you how high he could theoretically go with hype.
Fly.
Yeah. But I like Philly. I like that as a spot.
Yeah,
Of
definitely.
course, Green Bay, who we need. Green Bay needs anyone who can take the top off for
Green
Devontae.
Bay would be great. Honestly, that would be a phenomenal fit for him, but I just don't see him ponying up for it. But if he stays home, he's got the chemistry with Sam Darnold already, man. I'm telling you.
I think it would be the best thing for the Packers to grab Robbie. We'll have to see what he makes because it'll take the pressure off the NFL draft for them to reach, especially in the first round for a wide receiver. Because then
I don't know if you're ever reaching for a wide receiver in this draft, though. I guess you're going to be getting steals left and right.
No, that's the case. Like I meant more for the first round. They have other needs. Like they'd love to take an offensive lineman. They have no tight end theoretically. They took Sternberger last year. They'll probably give him a shot. But if they sign a guy like Robbie, they can afford to let the value fall to him rather than feel the need to take a guy. So they can, I guess, play the draft a little more straight up. So I'd like to see him add a guy, but we'll see.
Would he have more fantasy value for in playing in Green Bay or in Philly? I kind of think that it would be in Philly.
It would depend on what else they do in Philly. As it stood, if we assume Alshon and Aguilar are gone, then yeah, definitely Philly. Assuming he goes to Green Bay, it's probably going to be the Robbie and Devontae show, and then a third wide receiver they draft probably. Tight end is not going to be much of a deal as they always are. So I don't know. I mean, if it depends on what Philly does. If Philly grabs a wide receiver in the first round and they're decent, I don't know. It could end up being even, but I would bet money that if I'd probably go with the Eagles.
Yeah. And I still think that he's going to get overpaid unless he gives the Jets a hometown discount, which I don't see him doing. No. It's talk about between $8 and $9 million a year, which he is not worth. They don't want to pay running backs anything, but Robbie Anderson does not have $8 to $9 million a year value.
If you're going to watch for someone to let's spend more money than he's worth, I'd be looking for the Raiders or the Redskins.
Yeah.
Especially the Raiders. The Raiders, they need something. He's not exactly a box office draw, which is
is he a Gruden guy? Gruden is very specific on what type of guy he's looking for, and Robbie has had some stuff going on off the field.
Yep, that's actually a reason why I'm not as optimistic about him going to Green Bay. If Green Bay is anything, they don't tolerate that kind of stuff. They literally they don't tolerate parking tickets in Green Bay. So
that's why they ride their bikes to the.
So Philadelphia, they'll tolerate anything.
Oof. Well, that's where you live, so you can say that.
I can. Well, I don't live there. I live near there, but I'm aware. I'm aware of them.
You're aware.
I got my eye on you, Philly.
I can see you out my window.
A guy I would like to see more of next year is Amari Cooper in a Dallas shirt, but I think that would be the best spot for him for Dallas as well. But if he was to leave, isn't he a great fit for, again, like you were saying before, Matt, with Robbie to the Bills or Ravens? The Ravens don't have much cap space, but if you imagine that offense, adding that type of receiver, that will raise the level considerably for that receiving corps. Jets would be super interesting, and I think he would make Sam Darnold way more fantasy relevant and still be a top 20 receiver if he went there. But for me, the dream is the Ravens.
I think the Ravens have other needs, more than wide receiver, where I don't think they're going to linebacker, defensive offensive line, where I don't think they're going to maybe pay up for a guy like Amari. I would love it. I would. I don't see a guy like Amari voluntarily going to Buffalo. You saw what happened to Antonio Brown. I mean, it'd be great, but I just don't see that happening. Ironically, the funniest fit would be the Raiders, and people are throwing it out there like he's ever going back there. No, it ain't happening, everybody. But
he's such a chill guy. That's why this is almost a pun for Buffalo. Yeah. He in interviews with the Cowboys, they're like, "Oh, so what's your goals?" I like to play good football. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay. I don't like to talk. That's how he is. He's not that shine. I need the spotlight. Let me catch my ball. That's fine.
Send Amari to Denver. I'd love to see Drew Lock. Amari Cooper, and Cortland Sutton tear it up for a few years. That'd be good.
Bring him to the Saints, man.
That would also be amazing. How much? I know they could obviously use another wide receiver to help Michael Thomas out. How much money do they have in New Orleans, though?
Practically nothing right now. $9 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna.
Amari, from the rumor is Amari's going to ask for more than that.
Yes, but we like that. That's also an interesting point, and I'm gonna create a video about that after I've analyzed the new CBA when that comes out. What happens to cap spending? Well, like I know they moved the. Oh, I'm blanking. The tag deadline.
Yeah, no, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you have 48 hours, I believe, to rescind the tag that you gave out. If you give out two. If they sign the new CBA, because if they sign the new CBA, you can only have one tag open, but before that, you can have two tags. So now you have a deadline of 2 days to rescind one of them, and that would be the case for the Cowboys. That if they tag both Amari and Dak, Cooper is the one to be rescinded. Of course, like you have to. They've even said that, like Dak is our main priority. And that leaves him open. But if all of a sudden everybody's caps goes up, people are going to see that there's money available, but teams are also going to be able to like get their own guys back. It's going to be a very interesting situation where teams that look like they have no cap space are all of a sudden going to be able to get their guys back again. The Saints would potentially have much more than 9 million. But in the same instance, 9 million would be in relation to the entire cap space be less money, if that makes sense, from an economical standpoint.
That's an economic breakdown right there.
Yeah, because the more cap space you have, the more available money players know that you have and will demand more. So if Amari demands 14 now and the cap goes up 150 million after the CBA, I'm just throwing that out there. He's not going to demand 15 anymore. It's 25 because there's so much more available.
Jesus, Amari gets 20, 25 million.
I'm just saying like that's the potential. That's why players go to teams with much higher cap space because there's more money to be had. It's the same principle, but now all of a sudden everybody has more money. It's inflation. And you didn't think we would talk inflation on this podcast, but I kind of went down a rabbit hole
before the show. I was like, I bet we can't bring up inflation at one point in this one.
The
salary caps are stupid. Get rid of them. No salary cap.
Trust me. Coming from Europe,
the Jets and Giants are nothing but the top two teams because of it. So be it. No salary cap. Although then Green Bay would be like out of business very quickly.
Coming from Europe, where they're trying to fix this for soccer. And they've done financial fair play, which works nothing like a salary cap, but it's been working terrible. And teams that just have money just keep outspending teams that don't have money. And it's not about making money. It's about who has the richest owner.
Have you watched Major League Baseball before?
Yeah, but it's trust me, it's way, way worse because owners in baseball at least make money. In Europe, it's more Milan, my team's, their owner for about 20 years spent $100 million a year on the team just to cover losses.
Wow. Well, plus in baseball, there's a way to actually game the system, Moneyball. That's a popular thing too. There's a way to compete without spending a ton of money. In NFL, if there was a team that was allowed to spend all the money, they would be the best team. It would literally they'd be the best team every year. If there was poor teams and there was rich teams in the NFL, the poor teams would suck forever. Forever.
They'd find a way. There'd be some metric. They'd find some way.
I don't think so.
1 year, and then they would buy up all those best players. Yeah, that's literally how it works in soccer.
That's kind of what it was like in the first, when Unitas beat the. Or Namath beat the Colts. That's what it was. When Namath beat the Colts, like it was like all the best players were in the the NFC or whatever, and then the AFC came and they weren't supposed to win and they come close or anything like that. And Namath got the win. He called it. Like the poor teams would come in. They'd compete. I bet you.
You'd have the Giants with like 7 left tackles, like just lining up across the board. It would be awful.
Everyone's just running out.
But the Packers, we can give you $5 million a year. Yeah, but the Giants are offering me 27. Like to be a backup.
I think.
The Cowboys would probably be a really good team. I'm just saying.
Detroit would be run of the mill and still never make the playoffs.
Yeah, you'd be terrible.
The Carolina Panthers would be.
We'd be terrible. Well, let's calm down. We got money to spend, but we'd never make the playoffs.
We just got a question from Nicholas Carone. Welcome to the stream, Nicholas. Are we going to be talking about people with contracts about to expire or people with no team like Dez? So let's actually move down the board a little bit and make a quick transition down to Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. I would also throw in Sammy Watkins into this because I don't think he's getting paid by the Chiefs. So let's start with him. The Chiefs have $13 million cap space. He has $14 million in cap savings if they cut him. They need to pay Patrick Mahomes. Sammy Watkins cut from the Chiefs potentially. Landing spots. Nick, go. Give me one.
We're running out of landing spots for these mediocre players. They're going to land somewhere. Like, he's probably going to end up being in, like, Arizona.
You named his spot already. It's perfect, too.
Which one?
Broncos?
Saints.
The Saints. Yeah, Sammy to the Saints.
Drew Brees can save Sammy Watkins 1 year. Let's do it.
I don't know. If Pat Mahomes can't save him, then I don't know.
Drew Brees is magical.
Drew Brees, that would be the Ted Ginn spot.
Yes. I would not be interested in Sammy Watkins in many spots, but
what's going to end up happening is Stephon Diggs is going to leave and Sammy's going to go to like Minnesota or something. Stephon Diggs will end up becoming a Bear, and I don't know.
Yeah. See, I don't like any of that though. If you go, I don't like any. You know, I'm not going to like him probably most places though.
I'm not like Sammy anywhere. Like, why don't draft Sammy Watkins? I've been telling you since he was a rookie. Like, it's not going to change. But this is what happens when guys go to new teams. Oh God, he's with Drew Brees. Let's go. This is going to be great. But no,
best ball or nothing.
Yeah.
Best ball or nothing.
Don't go
probably nothing. Yeah.
Sammy Watkins if I'm making an actual prediction, Sammy Watkins to the Colts, because they're going to strike out on everybody they want like usual, and that's who they're going to be left with.
Yeah.
Really, you think that? Okay, so let's say with Jarvis Landry and OBJ, they're trying to get out. If we run from that premise, could the Colts like just say, "F it, we're going all in. We're getting Rivers. We're getting Odell freaking Beckham Jr. and pairing him with T.Y. Hilton." All of it, that team is fantastic then. They can afford it easily.
I don't know if I'd characterize them as fantastic.
No, I would not. Absolutely not.
I wouldn't actually characterize them as much better than they were last year.
What if you add,
I don't think Rivers is an upgrade over Brissett for one.
I don't think Hilton entering his 30th year is going to be all fine and dandy for 16 straight games.
Yeah, I think you're basically replacing Hilton with Beckham, and you're going laterally with Brissett to Rivers.
And Beckham hasn't been a top-tier fantasy player since 2017.
I mean, I believe in Beckham, but maybe not enough to like say that I could throw him in there with a middling quarterback and be totally happy with it. Plus, again, they pay. There's still, people forget they signed Brissett to a contract. They're only shipping him out if there's a legitimate reason to. I don't think Phillip Rivers is a reason to.
I don't know what they're going to ship him out for. I don't know what team's going to be itching to give a 6th-round pick for Jacoby Brissett, to be all honest.
So for the first time, it's kind of that we have more quarterbacks than teams, which is strange.
I think that a team like San Diego could possibly look at Brissett. Because they're probably, and right now they're going with Tyrod Taylor. They're probably going to be making a draft pick that's not going to be maybe necessarily ready.
Jordan Love.
Yeah, maybe.
But then roll Taylor. I like Taylor.
No, I like Taylor too. I was just saying that could be a landing spot. They seem to be comfortable with Taylor there as well, so I would bet on it being Taylor.
What do you mean we like Taylor? In what regards? Like, what aspects are we liking Taylor?
Hey, he was underrated in Buffalo. He was doing okay in Cleveland before getting injured and Baker took over.
He had a losing record in Cleveland before Baker took over.
Yeah, but that was a shitty team.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, can we swear?
Yeah, you can. And he's always been set with shitty teams. I'm sorry, the Buffalo offense that he was on, he was the only. Well, they had LaShawn McCoy for a little bit.
Did you ever think it's not the teams that are shitty that he's on, and it's maybe that he doesn't make the best of these top talent these talented players?
What you say Jones, is that a top talent? Oh, I just got real upset.
No, like if you had to bet on again, Daniel Jones going out there with Sterling Shepard. Possibly Evan Engram if he is ever healthy. Would you rather bank on him for just 2020, not Dynasty, just 2020, Or if Tyrod Taylor comes out there with Hunter Henry and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and his ability to rush,
And
I don't
Austin
know.
Eckler.
I kind of and Austin Eckler. I kind of like Taylor. If this is after the draft and there's no threat to his job, obviously, I would be pretty happy to take a shot on him late in the draft.
Right. Okay. Real quick. I hear you, and I'll get to you, Matt. But to counter Zay Jones, you bring up Zay Jones, a guy who has off-field issues, when he had freaking Robert Woods and Sammy Watkins on a team and literally could not make them anything.
You just destroyed Sammy Watkins. You just destroyed Sammy Watkins before.
Right.
Is he a top talent now?
Has anyone actually made Sammy Watkins a thing other than
you just said Patrick Mahomes could not make Patrick Mahomes couldn't make Sammy Watkins.
Tyrod got Robert Woods to be a what? To be nothing. To be not. He had players. Don't think that Tyrod didn't have players around him. Like he had weapons. He had players. What happens is he's just not that good.
I think we forget how he is actually a lot better than you think. Though.
He brought them to the playoffs.
No, he did not.
He did.
No, he did not. Throwing 15 touchdowns and 3 interceptions does not get a team. Trent Dilfer did not get the Ravens to the playoffs. You know, Rex Grossman did not get the Bears to the playoffs. Tyrod Taylor managed not to lose, like to allow them to get to the playoffs, but it was their defense. Let's try not to put Tyrod Taylor in it. They're obviously going to get a quarterback. Tyrod Taylor will obviously not be the starting quarterback come week 1. This conversation is mute anyway.
Hold on, you can be fine in not believing in him like we do, but I don't think that they're going to go in. I think that they're going to draft a quarterback that's not ready. As of today, I would bet on Tyrod Taylor being their starting quarterback week 1.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm gonna draft all the Austin Eckler with that in mind.
It'll be Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert will show strides. It'll be Sam Darnold. It'll be just like Sam Darnold. He's gonna go start. Justin Herbert's gonna start for the Chargers. I would bet right now that happened.
And what happens? Do we touch Keenan Allen if that happens? Okay, let's do this.
Or Justin?
If yeah, exactly. Do we touch? Is Keenan Allen, where is he being ranked with Taylor and with Herbert?
Too high either way, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to not get him. I'm not gonna try. I'm probably not going to get close to Mike Williams either. I've never been a huge fan. Austin Eckler, yes. Hunter Henry, yes. Okay, especially with Taylor.
This is what I love for the Chargers, for them to draft Hurts behind Taylor, who would be a great person for Hurts to maybe watch for a little bit. And then him take over after a little bit. That would be, if I'm a Chargers fan, that's actually what I want to see happen, unless they obviously decide to trade up for one of the premium guys, which, that's easier said than done to predict. But yeah, I'd like them to give the ball to Taylor, let Hurts sit on the bench, and then Hurts take over long term. That's what I'd like to see them do.
Yeah, and then Hunter Henry, like Charles Clay was pretty decent, I should say, with Taylor in Buffalo. And Charles Clay is not the same level as Hunter Henry. Shouldn't Taylor and Henry be a good fit? I know we're supposed to talk about wide receivers, but this conversation is interesting.
Is Henry coming back to Los Angeles?
I was just assuming he does.
I think that's assuming a lot. I don't think he's coming back. But assuming that he does, I'm not enthralled by Tyrod Taylor throwing to anyone on that team in any way, shape, or form. So no,
he threw for over 3,000 yards. He would have if he was maybe healthy the last year. Remember, they kept holding him out because of contract.
I don't get bed for less than 5,000 yards these days, bro.
No, I'm just saying, and he also was rushing.
My grandma can throw for 3,000.
I'm saying he was also rushing for almost 600 yards as well. Again, on a team because of contracts was literally going out of their way to bench him.
That doesn't help receivers or his tight end. That's not going to be like, oh yeah, he's going to rush for 600 yards. Give me all the Hunter Henry blocking stats. We'll
have to revisit this if they don't do anything in free agency or the draft, and when it gets closer to the season. I think
if the Chargers don't do anything in free agency or the draft and go into the season with Tyrod Taylor, who's their third string, who in their back, fucking Dave Blau or Jeff Driscoll, like
you know what? This would actually be an intriguing spot for Mariota. For Mariota and Taylor to compete in training camp.
See, there we go, though. Mariota, he's gonna. There are a lot of teams that need quarterbacks.
But that's the least sexiest guy to bring in to sell tickets in LA.
They're not going to sell any tickets anyways.
Can we just flip Jacoby Brissett to LA and Rivers to Indy? Like, can we just?
I think Jacoby Brissett is a poor man's Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, I think
he's better than Tyrod Taylor.
I just wanted to piss off Nick. I don't actually.
I like
Brissett. I was just saying I wouldn't replace him with Rivers. I like Brissett.
Yeah.
Brian Hoyer. No, okay. Emmanuel Sanders is another wide receiver who's been on a lot of teams similar to Tyrod Taylor. I think he almost fits any team and is more dependent on who pays him. I think the Patriots could use him, and I think he'll be a great addition there. Even if Brady leaves, they need someone, and Sanders has proven he can be productive pretty much with anyone and anywhere. I think he would benefit from getting out of San Francisco in fantasy and be more successful pretty much in any destination. But I do think that the Patriots would be a good fit.
Yeah, I like the Patriots, not to beat a dead horse, but again, the Packers. If he's just looking to win one at the end of his career, obviously we saw what happened to Geronimo Allison and everything in the slot. He's a free agent. He'll be gone. That would be a beautiful spot for him to go there as well. And again, the Eagles, if they bring in no one, those are just two good spots for a deep threat or a slot. Both of those teams need one of those guys, and they have enough cap space to make it happen if that's what they want to do.
We're going to end up seeing just like random teams. And like these guys are going to go to teams that we do not expect at all. We're going to see the Dolphins make a play on a few guys, I bet. We're going to see like the Browns go and add someone, just teams that we don't see it, that we don't think happening. But in regards to Emmanuel Sanders, it'd be fun to see him running with Lamar Jackson. Like that would be always be great.
It just depends on what the big, like the Colts, like the guys with all the money. It just depends on the route they decide to go. Really, that'll control where most of this drops.
In this year, though, I think Carl, you alluded to it like last week, and maybe not. Someone said it. This is not the year to go sign free agent wide receivers.
Oh no.
It's not the year. But teams are going to do it because they have to spend their cap. You have to spend that cap. You know what I mean?
The teams that are going to do it, or the teams that need someone and they're going for it immediately, which is the only reason I kind of threw out the teams I did. Where if your window is not as open as some of the others, that you want to throw a guy like Robbie or Emmanuel Sanders in your lineup because you know that in the draft you'll be drafting people to fill out a Super Bowl contending roster for 2020 rather than build for the future. Those are the teams that I'm looking for to try to fill it. Like I think that's kind of like I like the Bills because it feels like now that if Brady leaves, that division is kind of wide open for them to maybe try to at least win it. I mean, obviously it's difficult to win in the AFC, but their window to at least win that division is really open. So they may be aggressive. So it'll be interesting to see how.
Yeah. Because even like teams that have money, the Buccaneers have a ton of money, but that's because they haven't paid a quarterback yet. And they have so much at wide receiver already that they're kind of not an option. The Bills are an option because we saw that they're I don't want to say close, but they're up there. So that would put them, they would think if they're getting Robbie Anderson, Emmanuel Sanders, or somebody like that, that's going to improve our team to where we can take the next step. The Colts, I feel like the Colts and Dolphins have the most cap space, but they're also further away from these other teams, especially the Dolphins. The Dolphins have nothing, in my opinion, to gain from paying Emmanuel Sanders or Robbie Anderson now. They should probably do that in a year, especially if they're sitting Tua for a year, if that's the route they're going or whatever they're going. I don't feel like that would be the best, especially from a fantasy perspective. I want these high end, and air quotation for everybody listening, wide receivers to go to established quarterbacks so I can get the most fantasy value of them, but I don't want to overpay either. So that's kind of where I'm looking a little bit. Like the Eagles would be nice. I think you won't have to overpay for Emmanuel Sanders to get him if he plays on the Eagles compared to if he goes to the Saints.
I think anyone that we've talked about, except for Amari Cooper, I'm not touching no matter where they go. Unless one of the speedsters we talked about goes to Green Bay. Then I'll get a few shares, but I don't even like that much, to be all honest.
If Amari Cooper went to Baltimore, again, I don't think they can do that. They have other needs, like I said. You'd want him there.
I said everyone but Amari Cooper. Like, I don't want anyone that we talked about. Robbie Anderson.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't want Amari Cooper.
No, Amari's the one guy I do want. Like, I don't care.
Okay.
Amari, but again, he might be overdrafted, so I'm not going to get a lot of shares of him. But that's the guy I think he already showed that he can go to a new team and come in and disrupt the game. Now, he only did that for about 2 weeks with Dallas before he went on a 7 or 8 game lull and didn't really do much after, the back end of his first year in Dallas. But he did go out there. But right there even shows, like, if you don't have chemistry with these teams, it disrupts everything. It disrupts absolutely everything. And you build this chemistry for 3 years, 4 years, all of a sudden you switch it up. You take a seat back, like you just do. So I don't want any of this, except for like Amari will be the one guy I will take a chance on. But no matter where Emmanuel goes, he didn't light it up in San Francisco this year. He did all right. He had a few good games.
They ran so much.
Right. And yeah, sure, we can throw all these excuses out for all of them, but fact of the matter is, anyone that goes to a new team is just it's.
Hey, if Amari was going to leave Dallas, since you're a Cowboys fan, I wanted to ask you this: I love Michael Gallup. I had a lot of shares of him. I always talk about defensive attention being something that people don't pay enough attention to. They see Amari Cooper leave, and they're like, all the targets are going to Michael Gallup. This is going to be fantastic. But the defenses are going to be keying on him so much. Do we feel that he's a guy with all of the eyes on him will rise up? He'll obviously have targets, therefore his overall production may be better, but it's never good to be the only guy downfield that defenses are taking a look at.
If you let Amari Cooper go from Dallas, you have to bring somebody else in. I like Michael Gallup, but you saw against the Jets when Cooper went out after a couple of plays that Gallup did not rise to meet the challenge. It was a bad Jets team, and he still had nothing in that game. When he's playing second fiddle, he's a fantastic wide receiver, and I love how he plays, and I think he's going to be better for fantasy, especially if Amari stays, and I think he's going to struggle to get the value that you're going to be drafting him for if Amari Cooper leaves, if that makes sense.
It was a reason why a lot of people were off Juju last year with Brown gone. They thought the same thing, that maybe he wouldn't be able to survive with all the eyes on him. We obviously never got an opportunity to actually see what a full season of that would actually look like. But yeah, it's interesting to see, where guys like that go. Because not automatically, like you're saying, getting all the targets doesn't necessarily mean better value all the time.
It's very similar. Devontae Adams became number 1 after Jordy Nelson left. And there was a lot of concern about, is Devontae going to step up and actually be a wide receiver 1? And he did.
Yeah, some people can. Some people can.
Right, exactly. To be honest, I don't think Gallup's a guy who could become a top-tiered fantasy player as a wide receiver 1. But if you go and draft Henry Ruggs, who's going to take away a lot of attention, you go and trade up a little bit and get yourself a Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb. Like, there's a lot of – go sign yourself a Dez Bryant for Nicholas there, who wants to talk a little Dez. Bring him back. Like, I don't know. There's something to be made still for Gallup, and he's not going too high in drafts right now. I got him in our league in like the 8th round.
I think if Cooper left, he'd shoot up, shoot up.
And that's why I don't like it. I want Amari Cooper to stay, and I think let Gallup progress one more year. I think he's going to be better in fantasy. If Amari Cooper leaves, the value is going to, or the ADP that you have to spend to get him is going to be too high compared to the production you're going to get from him.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that happens, so like you said, so many times where even for running backs, like, there's running back 2 left. This guy's going to get all the carries. He's going to be great. He was the only one I can think of. Austin Eckler has been fantastic taking over like that. James Conner, decent. But Nyheim Hines doesn't shine when Marlon Mack is out. That's not his role. And I'm afraid that's going to be the same with Michael Gallup. Gallup shines when Amari Cooper is taking all the attention and Zeke is running well, and Gallup can just rack up against a second-tier cornerback.
Yeah. Also, the only time we saw him get the opportunity was in his rookie year. Give him another year, give him another offseason. There's no reason not to think Gallup can't just become an elite wide receiver in Dallas with a healthy offensive line, Zeke running the ball very well, And the Cowboys kind of look back to what the form that they showed us in 2017 or whatever it was.
16.
Thank you. I mean, I could easily see Gallup being a beast, even as a wide receiver 1. But that's a lot of ifs and ands, you know what I mean? So
yeah, and I think he can become that, but not necessarily next year. What we saw in 2019.
I'm telling you, I just wrote an article about this. Sophomore wide receivers.
Well, he's a third year.
But he is a third year. Why was I thinking he was a sophomore?
So he should have. Because I was expecting that leap.
Get Reddick, Gallup. Get him out of here.
I was expecting that leap for the second year, and he took some steps up. I think he really learned how to play the role better. But not enough for me to be like, oh, he's gonna be a next superstar within the next year. Nah, give him a few years maybe, and he can be that. I don't know who I want to.
That thought process is now turned over to Tony Pollard. He could be a superstar given an opportunity. Zeke goes down week 2 or 3. Tony Pollard's going to be a 13, 14, 15 combined yard player. It'll be great.
Yeah, he did show some glimpses every time he got the opportunity.
He's flashy, man. He is. You watch him; he's a football player. That's fun to see right there. He's a modern day football player. Get Tony. If I was any other team who needed a running back, if I was Bruce Arians and I get Tom Brady and I need a pat, like give me Tony Pollard, dude, all day. I'll trade a second rounder for him.
I don't think Dallas is interested in giving him up.
No,
I know.
No. He's way too fun.
He's gonna be wasted, is what I'm saying. Like there,
it's way too fun.
It's ridiculous.
He is way too fun. But no, he's not going to be wasted. I think he's going to be rolled up more into the slot to be more a wide receiver to involve him in the game plan. I think we're going to be more creative now.
Who did Green Bay do that with? It took a wide receiver, made him a running back.
Ty Montgomery.
Thank you. Yes,
that was fun.
It was also a mistake.
Very big.
And it ended Montgomery's career.
Like it would be a huge mistake to take Tony Pollard and be like, "You're a slot wide receiver now," and he'd be like, oh, "Okay, right on." That's terrible.
I don't necessarily think he's going to be that all the time, but I think they're going to, roll him out when he's in the backfield, roll him out and move. They did that with Zeke a ton with Kellen Moore's offense. He'd love to shake it up a little bit and try to be a little bit more like the Sean McVay.
I do not like Kellen Moore as an offense coordinator, and I honestly think he cost Jason Garrett his job. I think Kellen Moore did a pretty bad job at calling plays last year. And I don't think it's going to change this year. Hopefully I'm wrong, but
is he on the new juggernaut Giants offensive team, or who'd they sign? They signed a whole bunch of stiffs to be their coach. Who's there?
Did Kellen Moore go there?
No, Jason
Garrett. Jason Garrett, Freddie Kitchens went there, right?
We still have Kellen Moore.
Oh, that's okay.
I just know Garrett and like Kitchens and like all the coaches nobody wanted went to the Giants all at the same time.
Who is the Bounty Gate coach? Greg Williams, or he's probably there.
They're all there.
What is it they say? He does a really good job the first year until everybody gets like really sick of him.
Yeah.
The Greg Williams.
Yeah.
Speaking of sick, everyone get out your hand sanitizer.
Corona.
It's hand sanitizer o'clock.
Corona.
You did hand sanitizer when we started the show. You haven't been anywhere.
Doesn't matter. Can't touch your face.
It's Corona, dude. It's Corona. Don't touch your face.
This stuff smells like oranges, so it's really win-win for me.
Oh, okay then.
We're gonna at the end of the show is Matt just gonna be sucking on his fingers like, God, oranges, delicious.
Yeah,
but then I think this show kind of showcases how slim the pickings is for wide receivers. It really
I thought you were
is.
gonna say it shows how none of us are getting coronavirus because we're just sitting around our house talking about football.
That too, and I usually sit like this and hold my face, and I've kind of sat on my hands this entire show instead because that just my natural move is to have my hand up. Super first world problems.
This is whole world problems right now. Coronavirus is Earth. Earth is closed right now.
I love that meme. But no, it is really slim pickings for wide receivers, and with the talent coming into the league. That's why it's so difficult to place these guys in anything but teams with huge salary cap space and who have a potential run going or can start a potential run next year. Because there's a lot of money to be spent on free agency, but there's so many other positions of needs when you can pick up that type of talent in the second and third round. And
yeah, but rookie wide receiver, like you know, if you are winning right now, you don't want to add in a second round wide receiver and just expect him to do like
no, but that's why you get like Emmanuel Sanders or Robbie Anderson or somebody like that to not to be your star, but to round out your already star-studded roster.
The Saints, man, they're gonna grab one of these guys.
Yeah, and I think like the Dolphins, they should grab one. Arizona could potentially grab one. Like they need influxes of talent on
maybe Mel Kiper was right. 35 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds, or what did he say? It was something wild. He was going to set the NFL record for most wide receivers drafted in 3 rounds by about 15
wide receivers.
Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network said that the Alabama receiving corps, not just the guys getting drafted, but what they had last year, in his opinion, 20 teams in the NFL would have taken that over what they have right now. That seemed high, but then again, it's probably a little high. It's probably a little high.
Get that clickbait, baby.
Yeah.
Every team would want these receivers.
This is my 17th mock draft.
Yeah, I love mock drafts, man.
Yeah, and I think we might schedule a live one here on the show now that we're on Periscope as well. We have some new functionalities. Maybe not a mock draft for the draft, but mock draft for fantasy, and see what we can come up for you. But I want to thank everybody for joining us here today on YouTube, on Periscope, listening in afterwards on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CSTFantasy.com, all the places we are. You can find more information where you can listen. If you're on YouTube, down in the links below, or go to CSTFantasy.com. Check out @CSTFantasy on Twitter. There's a little one I'm pointing everywhere wrong right there, and you can find links tomorrow to the show in so many different places. But guys, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Not a problem, man. I love it. Everyone, hand sanitizer. Tom Hanks has the coronavirus. Nobody is safe.
Mad Max.
What?
He actually does. Tom Hanks has the coronavirus. That just flashed across Twitter. The more you know.
Shit. Yeah, the more you know. Stay safe, Tom. I thought you were good.
I'm not trying to freak everybody. Have a good one.
Johnson Hank
2020. Real though, boys. Like for everyone, we're about to see some crazy shit go down. So stay fucking safe. Go buy your toilet paper. As you can tell, this whole show I've been very distracted. So just make sure you get your shit.
It looks like you have a guy next to you literally doing nothing but touching your face.
And we want to say also, just stay calm. Don't panic too much.
Everybody
it's not good to run to the grocery store when everybody else does it, because then you're just gathering in a confined space.
That's why you go to the 24/7 Meijer that's open at 3 a.m. Go there.
And we're not even sponsored by these people. No. But signing off for the Fantasy Rabbit Hole is Nick Faber, Matt Williams, and CST Fantasy. Till next time.